Hi, Will Terry here. I've got Aaron Terry, my son, here with me, and we're going to use this as the final video wrap up to my blog. So on my blog, I've been doing the steps to making a children's story app, and so if you haven't ever been to my blog before, I've got a link to it right below, willterry.blogspot.com, and you can see all the steps that I've gone through in making a story app. One of them is dealing with Aaron. Um, So anyway, it's kind of weird to have you here.
It's great to be on the show today.
I'm also fighting off a cold, so my voice is it had to be done today. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is we've gone through the other steps of actually making the artwork and creating sounds and animations and hiring a voice actor. And what we're going to talk about on this video is actually the building of the app, the physical building of the app, and also how we upload it to Apple. And that's why I have Aaron here, because he is far more an expert in those matters than I am.
Did you want to repeat that?
I told you, no funny business on the video. Okay, so building the app, we used Kwik. You could use any programmer, and there are a lot of other programs out there. One of the reasons why we use Kwik, Kwik, is that it is a WYSIWYG, which is the acronym for what you see is what you get, and basically that means that you can program without actually knowing or having to know how to program. So you can drag things. Actually, you didn't drag things, but you can. There's dialog boxes where you can fill out instead of actually coding, and it creates the code for you.
Yeah.
And that was created by a company called Quicksure, and Alex Sosa is the president and founder. And you can go to quicksure.com to learn more about that, or you can go on my blog, and I've got links to Quicksure there. The main question is, how did we actually build the app in using Kwik? And I'm going to defer to you, Aaron. How did we do that?
Well, Kwik works as a Photoshop plugin. It actually uses the layers, so whatever you decide you want to move around, whatever character, if you want the background to move, that has to be on a separate layer. And then you can just use the tools within the Kwik plugin to decide how far you want it to move, where you want it to move to, how fast. And then you can show and hide images, and there's other ways to do stuff, other animations that you can use, but all in all, it works with the layers in Photoshop.
So let me ask you this: Are you a programmer?
No.
Have you ever been interested in programming?
No.
Do you know coding?
Not really, no. I know some HTML, but that's almost nothing. So.
Is it worth mentioning?
No.
Okay, so and I'm gonna out you just a little bit. You were kind of like followed in my footsteps as far as school goes. You didn't really like public school and get along there too well. And I mean, you got along, but you didn't really. You weren't into math and stuff like that. The reason that I want people to know that is because sometimes people will say, well, yeah, you could do it, but I couldn't, because you probably really get math whiz, or you probably got really good grades and you're just a genius or something, which we both know you're not.
I definitely with school I released myself on account of my own recognizances.
Okay, so that having been said, why were you able to learn Kwik? Because to me, it was hard. It was frustrating. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's a really powerful tool. So it's got a lot that you can do, and it's different from a lot of other programs you've used. So it's going to be tough to learn, much like Photoshop is. I would assume it's probably hard to get into Photoshop when you first start, and there's a lot of depth to it. And you're never really done mastering Photoshop, much like with Kwik. But one of the reasons that
that you wanted to learn
lost my train of thought.
Why did you want to learn to use it?
Well, partly out of necessity. I was tired of working at Home Depot, and mainly it was actually fun when you tried to, like, after the first little bit, after the first day, I got something to move and animate, and that was a big boost. And for the first 2 weeks, it was pretty hairy. It was pretty frustrating because you were trying to learn a new system. I was trying to learn the Mac. I'd never used a Mac before. I'd never used Photoshop before, and I never used Kwik, so I was trying to learn all three systems at the same time. So it was especially difficult for me. But after you can have that instant gratification of seeing something move, seeing something be animated that you just did yourself, it's a real boost to your morale, and it helps you plug away at it. And I feel like if you can get past a week or 2 weeks,
Hmm.
then you get to a point where a problem arises and you know how to figure it out. Like, you know the
So
tools well enough.
so when I first installed it and I hit the first roadblock, I didn't know what to do. Um, do you consulted forums? Because Quick sure has really good forums, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the Kwik forums. There's a lot of issues that have already been covered too, and because it's geared towards a lot of artists. There's a lot of newbie questions on there that I that I looked up.
Hmm.
There's a lot of issues that have already been answered, and then if you post something, usually Alex or someone else will get back to you on the forums.
So it's
pretty
not
quick.
something that someone's, just to paint the picture, you're not going to be able to. Someone's not going to be able to take Quick out of the box, install it, and just start to finish make an app.
No.
It's going to be harder than that. It's going to be more frustrating than that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. But you say that in a week or two, you started getting to where you were just able to get through stuff. Now, Aaron's desk is right on the other side of mine, and I would hear from time to time the frustration and the elation, right? When you got something to do what you wanted, I'd hear, hallelujah, or yes. Excuse me. The voice is just gone right now. Sorry, guys. Okay, so you fought through it. How long start to finish on building the app, would you say? Now I wasn't completely finished with everything, so you started on it before I was done. If I had been done and if my files had been in order, some of them you sent back to me, which was weird having your son send something back, but some of them I didn't clean up the layers, right? So I had assets on a layer, but I had other overspray paint or something off to the side that was also being selected, and I wasn't careful about
that was a big part.
that up.
Another thing is, like, when in doubt, have as many layers as you can, because if you have too many, then I can even compress them, the animator, or you can compress them later on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So having a lot of layers.
You're saying making sure that objects that you want to animate are on different layers.
Yeah, like right. if you aren't doing this yourself, or if you are and you want to make something move, if it's on a layer, it's going to make that whole layer move.
Right.
And that's an.
And one thing that I did was we basically planned one animation for each page, so as not to confuse the child and get it going to kind of a playtime area. So it was pretty simple, straightforward. This is going to animate. This is going to move from here to here. This is going to do this. The gopher's going to dig down. By the way, the app that we made is called Gary's Place. I probably should have mentioned that in the beginning. Gary with a G, ARY apostrophe S, Gary's Place. And actually, it's only available for iPad. Right now, it's in the Apple App Store. We hope to have it in Android pretty soon, but we're having some problems with that, which we can talk about at the end. But we'll get it there. So if you search for it with your iPhone, you're not going to find it because it's in the iPad store. So anyway, yeah, so I would suggest anything that you want to have move, put it on a different layer. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if I had everything finished, how long would it have taken?
I'd say it probably would have taken a month.
About a month to program
it. I could do.
And now that you've been through Kwik and you know how to do it, how long now?
Now?
If you had to go through it.
If I had to go through it again, it'd probably be maybe a week or 2 weeks.
Probably 2, huh?
Probably, I would say 2 right now, but it depends on the app.
You could go through pretty quick. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fast.
And how much code could you look and see the code that was being generated by Kwik?
I would look into there sometimes. I've actually been looking through those to kind of learn a little bit more about the programming language Lua. But I looked at one page and there was 238 lines of code, and that page took me 10 minutes to make.
And you didn't code any of it?
And I didn't code any of that.
Wow.
And that's a time saver.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you have to have Photoshop CS5, 6, or CC, the Creative Cloud, to run Kwik. So you have to have Photoshop installed on your machine. You can have it installed on a PC or a Mac to make your app. Mm. Then you have to install Kwik, or you could have Kwik on a PC or a Mac.
Yeah.
Then you have to install Corona SDK, right?
Yeah.
And if you just type in and look up Corona, CORONA, Corona,
Yeah.
SDK, the software development kit, and you install that, and there's a free version of that. If you aren't going to have in-app purchases, you can use Corona for free. So you need Photoshop, you need Kwik, you need Corona, and then what about the simulator? Is that through Corona?
Yeah, that is Corona.
Okay, so then when you install Corona, it will give you an iPad simulator. Was there also an Android simulator?
It actually, yeah, it has an Android. It has all the iPad. It has Nook. You can see it on the Galaxy S3.
We didn't look at those because we
Yeah.
didn't. We were gunning for the iPad first.
Pretty much, you can simulate all major devices. It'll show you a window of what that phone would look
Right.
like and what your app would look like on the phone.
Right. Now, one thing I would do is if you have questions about Kwik, Alex is really good about answering them, and I would direct your questions to Alex, and his email address is Alex, ALEX, at Kwik. Sure, it's KWIKSHER, KWIKSHER.com. Alex at Quicksure.com. And he'll answer your questions. I'm not good at the technical side, so if you put technical questions in the comments below, chances are I'm not going to have the answer anyway, so you might as well just go right to Alex for the questions. But anyway, so moving along, you had those installed, and then so your workspace was inside of Photoshop, and then you would test a page by exporting it to Corona. Is that right?
Yeah, there's actually a publish button. It's pretty simple. And when you get in there, I advise you just to, open it up and look around. That's how I learned a lot about it, was just reading everything. If you hover over an element, it'll kind of explain what that element does too, which is a nice feature.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really great, you can click publish only a certain page, publish all pages, export images.
We're making a video right now. This is Seth. Come over here, Seth. Say hi to everybody.
Hi guys, I kind of messed up the video.
That's right. Go on. We're doing a one take, so we get.
There's only one take.
One take.
Close that door.
Okay, this is our professional setup here, you guys. So that brings us to, how was it to work with me? Don't answer that one. How was it to work with Kwik? Your honest opinion. What is it like? What would you say?
It takes a certain personality, but I really like it. It's fun. I even play around in it for fun. I have other projects. It's like a game. If you have to give it a week, or you have to give it at least enough time to where you can actually see an animation work that you did, and that in and of itself would be so cool to see something that you animated that you'll want to spend more time doing it.
So you're not going to jump on there in a few hours and get something to animate, probably.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it depends on if you set it up right. When I was I use a Mac, and you have to set it up differently because it's a different kind of system. So with Windows, it just downloads and installs, and with Mac, you have to go into the terminal and allow flash settings and allow all these settings. But after you do that, and you've watched a beginner tutorial on how to set up your first project, you can get something to animate.
Where'd you get those? Where'd you get the beginner tutorials?
They're actually on the Quicksure website. There's a lot of beginner tutorials up there that are pretty good, and a lot of the Kwik class is really good too. Really well.
So yeah, we had a Kwik class, and you learned a lot from those videos too, right?
Yeah, I didn't attend the classes live because I was afraid I might make a noise in the recording studio. But I would just rewatch the recorded version over and over again and pause it and then rewind it and pause it and rewind it and play it again until I got that down. And that everything that they explained in the class, I was able to learn watching the videos, which was awesome.
Cool. And so you can get those from Quicksure.com. Alex is selling those there, and I highly recommend that. I actually helped Alex make those videos, and so there's that. And then what else do we want people to know about this? In Kwik, you combined all the voice files, all the sound files, all the animations, What else? Was there anything else? I guess that's about it, right?
Reading files, I guess.
Yeah, the reading. That's right. The text files. We used a highlighted word feature. What did you think about that?
That one was one of the more complicated features. That
Mhm.
was one where you need to watch a video on how to do it. You can't figure it out unless you know Audacity really well.
Hmm.
And then once you do figure it out, it's pretty simple.
Okay, so
It's complicated in the sense that most people won't figure it out on their own
right,
because it's not intuitive at all.
right.
But it's not complicated in the sense that once you figure it out, then you can replicate it so easily.
Okay. You mentioned Audacity, which is a free sound editing
Yeah.
program, sound recording program. People can get that. It's AUDACITY. Is that right?
Yeah.
Audacity. Just type that into Google, download it, and you can use that with Kwik to make the sound or to make the read to me files. You can also use it to. We ended up using it to manipulate our sound files and to stretch them out, shorten them. We used our voices on some of it and changed the pitch so it didn't sound like our voice. Good thing, right? Okay, so then the last thing I really want to talk about. Well, let me ask you this. So you learn Kwik. You're going to use it again on our next app, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably the best. I would say the best review for Kwik is that we're jumping right back in and using it again for our next app, which we're starting pretty soon here.
Mm-hmm.
Why not use another program?
They're not as they don't have as many features.
Right.
Most of them, it's like comparing, Paint to Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
They're very limited, and then a lot of them that aren't as limited also publish under their own account, so then they take a portion of that money.
Right. Yeah. So Kwik doesn't take that's a good thing to mention. Kwik doesn't take any percentage. You are the developer, you're the publisher, and you publish to the App Store. So our relationship with Apple and with the Google Play Store and with Amazon is between them and us, and Quicksure is not involved in that. That's a question that a lot of people have. So Kwik doesn't get a percentage of any of your profits. You do have to buy Kwik. I'm not sure exactly how much it costs right now. It's an annual subscription, but you can check that out on their website. Okay, so let's talk about the last thing, which is publishing to the Apple App Store.
The fun part.
How was that experience, Aaron?
It's not fun at all. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're not going to like it. It also is one of the shortest parts, though, so that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, building the app is going to
take
much longer.
Just in a nutshell, what's the problem with working with Apple?
Well, they kind of feel like, they're big. And it's not like you're not going to publish to Apple, so they don't have to change their system that much.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of too big to care right now.
So it's
complicated.
So they don't help you, is what I'm. What?
Well, yeah, actually, you remember I submitted a technical support request, and they straight up denied me.
Right.
So
there's basically a lot of online forms that you have to fill out, and then you have your file to upload, and then you ran into a roadblock of them saying, what was the message that you got?
They just returned my money and said that they can't accept a technical support request.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mess.
So how did you get around that?
I did a lot of research online,
mm-hmm.
and I kind of tried to redo some of the steps, and then finally, it was actually my fault the whole time.
You went back and redid some steps?
Yeah, I went back and redid some steps. I got some help, and it actually turned out I forgot to install one of the certificates. So that's the thing. Like,
what is a certificate?
The way that it goes is you generate a signing request, and
mm-hmm.
you can learn this later. You generate a signing request, and then you generate a certificate using that signing request.
So this is when you make your Apple developer account?
Yeah. This is after you have the developer account.
Which is $99 per year.
Yeah. You generate a signing request. You generate a certificate using the signing request. You download and install the certificate. Then you generate a provisioning profile using the certificate, and that basically allows you include that certificate in your app, and Corona will search your system for those certificates. So when you click build, you can include that piece of code in your app without actually having to put it in there manually, which is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
And once you figure out the process, it's pretty easy from there on, but it's just complicated because it's not intuitive at all. It's not like
Mhm.
any other system at all.
Mhm. So just kind of having to fight through that. And how long did that take us to get the app in, like, live in the App Store from the start of that when we were going through those problems? Was it about 2 weeks?
You know, I'm not sure.
I think it was about 2 weeks.
I think it was more like a week and a half to a week.
Okay.
That was a little bit less time.
But it was frustrating because you just want it to be uploaded.
Yeah.
You want it to be in there, and it's just not, and you don't know why.
Yeah.
So you started fooling around with the forms yourself,
Yeah.
going back and looking over them, and yeah. So it's frustrating. Okay. So that's pretty much what we did. And we're, like I said before, I'm going to be sharing my sales stats to each month to show, how many units I'm selling, and hopefully on the different stores too, so to break it down between Apple and Android. So check back. This is an ongoing blog post, I guess, that's got many steps, and I'm just kind of sharing the journey. I also wanted to mention that Aaron, you're thinking about doing this as for a living, right?
Yeah, it's definitely fun enough that I really want to do this.
So one of your plans is to offer coaching for people who are going through this process, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're building a website right now, and we're going to put a link to it on my blog. If anybody wants to get some help, you're going to charge people a nominal fee. Is that right?
Yeah.
When you get going, to help answer questions, to help people get going.
Yeah.
And then also you're considering maybe even building for people if they get tired or frustrated of doing it themselves.
Yeah, that's my business plan. I make you really frustrated so that you pay me to build the app for you.
Okay. Well, cool. So I think that's all that I have on this one. Again, the app is called Gary's Place, and we're excited. We're going through the process of getting reviews, and I'll probably do a blog post on this, on getting reviews. I've already got a few really good ones. Jan Watford gave us a 4-star review, which I really appreciated. And we got another one, and my mind is drawing a blank, but we're going through the submission process in the next month or so to get more reviews. I think that's really important to get for your app. And I'll be putting a link to it on my blog. Just a lot of things going on during the holiday season right now that's kind of slowed me down a little bit. But anyway, that's our plan. Our plan is to actually build onto this Gary's Place with a sequel, and then follow it up with another one after that. I really feel that the way to build momentum in a really noisy marketplace on the App Store is to actually build a brand and have, if people find number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, they all point back to number 1. Number 1 points to 2, 2 points to 3, and so on. So over time, I don't think it's anything that you're going to get rich overnight doing. I think there's just too many apps out there for that. But I do really strongly believe that you can, if you're willing to build a really solid app with a really good story, emphasis on really good story, I think you can do really well. We'll see. I'm trying to prove that. I'm trying to see this experiment through. Got a really good story written by Rick Walton. He's writing our sequel. And anyway, that's all we've got. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you later.